Today, before we begin our official ceremony, we are honored to be joined by several of this year's St. Louis University Alumni Merit Awardees. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2024 St. Louis University Commencement. Now, as you are able, please rise for the posting of colors by our Parks Color Guard. You may be seated. In addition to the flags brought in by our color guard, you will notice that near the stage are flags representing the countries of today's international graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, the university mace is carried by Father Michael Barber of the Society of Jesus. Father Barber came to SLU in 1985 and is a professor of philosophy and former dean of SLU's College of Philosophy and Letters and the College of Arts and Sciences. A noted scholar, he has written 8 books and more than 100 articles in the general area of phenomenology and the social world. Father Barber is followed by the members of the Board of Trustees, members of the President's executive staff, the deans of the colleges and schools, student, faculty, and staff leaders, our student speaker, the 2024 honorary degree recipients, the provost, and the president of St. Louis University. Stage party, you may be seated. The faculty of the schools and colleges of St. Louis University will be escorted by the university marshals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the endowed chairs and professors and faculty of St. Louis University. Faculty may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 2024 graduates of St. Louis University.
Good morning. The view from this podium will never get old. I love looking out at this crowd this time of year. This is wonderful. Welcome to our graduates and to all of their families and friends who join us here in Chaifetz Arena for St. Louis University's 2024 Commencement Ceremony. My name is Dr. Michael Lewis. It's my great privilege to serve as the Provost of St. Louis University. I'm delighted to be with you on this joyous day. We know many of you have come from great distances to be with us, and we are so glad you are here to be with us for this ceremony. On the stage are the President, members of the university's Board of Trustees, members of the President's executive staff, representatives of the faculty, staff, and students, the deans of our colleges and schools, and honored guests. Also with us here today are many of this year's Alumni Merit Awardees, who represent a broad array of achievements. Thank you to all of them for the outstanding examples they provide to our graduates. As you are able, may I now ask that everyone please stand for the singing of our national anthem, to be performed today by the St. Louis University Master Singers under the direction of David Kowalczyk, and please remain standing for the invocation which will follow the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through a perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
At all St. Louis University events, it is our tradition to call upon God to watch over and bless us all. I would now like to invite Father Stephen Schoenig of the Society of Jesus, who is an associate professor and associate chair of our Department of History, to offer our invocation.
Let us pray. Loving God, from whom we have all come and to whom we are all going, hear our prayer as we gather at this sacred moment. From many hometowns and backgrounds, cultures and languages, races and faiths, you have called us together into this one community to grow as persons created in your image and to deepen our knowledge of you and your world. Like the mosaics of the great Cathedral Basilica of St. Louis, you have brought us together, each a piece of diverse size and color and sheen and material, to make together an image of splendor and beauty that gives praise to your goodness. Our lives you have filled with a rich array of gifts, our years with a wonderful variety of experiences, all of which have brought us to this moment. From the depths of our hearts, we thank you. Thank you for the families who have believed in us, encouraged us, and supported us. Thank you for the mentors who have guided us patiently and opened our eyes to wonder. Thank you for the friends who have stuck with us and expanded our horizons. Thank you for the moments when we have come to know truth, goodness, and beauty. As this class of 2024 looks back at all the papers and the exams, the meetings and the games, the relationships and the revelations, the laughter and the tears, fill them with a spirit of gratitude. Let that gratitude grow into the insight that these gifts have not been given for themselves alone, and let that insight grow into the commitment to share the fruits of these gifts with others. Enlighten them that they may see your hand ever at work in the world. Guide them that they may follow the path of justice, even when persecuted. Spur them on that they may strive for your greater glory and the good of others. And just as you have blessed them with so many gifts, so we ask you to make them blessings for the world. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Schoenig. You may be seated. Now it is the time for the singing of St. Louis University's Varsity song by our master singers. The song was composed more than 100 years ago and was performed as the university's alma mater at commencement until sometime in the 1960s. During SLU's bicentennial year in 2018, we revived it, and it has become a new SLU tradition. You are welcome to join in with the master singers. The song's lyrics can be found on page 15 of your program.
Heirs of a royal name, dear Varsity, for our faith and love we pledge to thee. Guardians of truth and light we always knew. Thou whom the years have crowned, St. Louis you. All hail St. Louis you, valiant and strong, noble old Varsity, hark to our song. Proudly our colors fly, brave white and blue. Now let the chorus roll, St. Louis you. Great is thy noble heart, tender and true. Show us thy loyalty, St. Louis you. Bear we with pride and love thy white and blue. Sweet are thy memories, St. Louis you. All hail St. Louis you, valiant and strong, noble old Varsity, hark to our song. Proudly our colors fly, brave white and blue. Now let the chorus roll, St. Louis you. Truth and nobility thy halls enshrine, guarding the hallowed name forever thine. May we with heart and hand through life renew thy noble victory, St. Louis you. All hail St. Louis you, valiant and strong, noble old Varsity, hark to our song. Proudly our colors fly, brave white and blue. Loud let the chorus roll, St. Louis you.
Thank you to our master singers for that wonderful performance. It is now my privilege to introduce the President of St. Louis University, Dr. Fred Pistello. Dr. Pistello. Dr. Pistello became the university's 33rd president in July of 2014. He is the first lay president in SLU's 206-year history. Under his leadership, the university has grown in stature and enrollment, recording its highest ever total enrollment in the fall of 2023. The value of your SLU education has also grown during his tenure, as the university has been recognized for its academic excellence, research, dedication to its students, commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to serving our neighbors and the underserved in our community. In fact, community engagement is a central tenet of Dr. Pistello's leadership. The university has worked to elevate our involvement in the St. Louis region and to bring people together to address the region's most pressing issues. In addition, Dr. Pistello led the largest and most successful fundraising campaign in St. Louis University's history. Please join me in welcoming the President of St. Louis University, Dr. Fred Pistello.
Good morning, Billikens. Welcome, parents, families, friends, and guests. We are delighted to share this momentous occasion with all of you. It is an honor to be here with you today. I know that many of you undergraduates who joined us in the fall of 2020 did not have a high school graduation ceremony. I am confident that this week has been filled with celebrations that you will treasure. Savor this moment. On this beautiful day, you join over 2 centuries of Billiken graduates. We are proud of you and everything you have achieved. Think of the wealth of knowledge acquired by all of you assembled here today. Think of the potential you have to make a positive impact in the world. In your time at SLU, you encountered ideas that challenged and stretched you. You persevered through clinicals, practicums, and internships. You spent many long nights researching and writing papers, capstone projects, theses, and dissertations. You learned to ask big questions, to advocate for solutions, to care for patients. You learn to analyze data, interpret literature, manage organizations, and understand the natural world. You have become teachers, pilots, researchers, and some of the most compassionate and hopeful individuals I have had the honor of working with. And you are just beginning. I want you to embrace the joy of this moment. Be proud of the hard work you put in and the struggles you endured. Have faith in the wisdom you have earned inside and outside of the classroom. Know that you will be a force for good, that you will set the world on fire. Graduates, please take a moment to acknowledge and thank your loved ones, all of those who have supported and sustained you, nurtured you, and invested in your success. To all of them. Next, let's take a moment to acknowledge our faculty and staff, those who have stretched your minds, sharpened your skills, and fostered your development. Let us thank them. As we gather here this morning, we are also mindful of those who could not join us, particularly those loved ones in our families and in our communities who passed away this year. In remembrance of those we hold in our hearts, those we have lost this year, and all of those who have gone before us throughout our history. We have placed an empty chair on the stage adorned with flowers. In honor of our loved ones who have passed this year, let us share a moment of silence. Thank you. Graduates, when you chose SLU, you had a sense that it would be a good fit for you. Many of you, like me, were the first in your family to attend college. Regardless of your path, I am confident that you realize that here at SLU, ethics and morals inform action. Each person is valued, and integrity is vital. We dare to choose courage over comfort and justice over indifference. You know well that there are three core parts of our SLU identity. We are Catholic, we are Jesuit, and we are university. As a Catholic institution, our mission reflects our extraordinary vocation. We are responsible for cultivating a community of wholeness. As a Jesuit institution, we ask knowledge for what? In our work at the frontiers of culture and the margins of society, the lines of service and scholarship are blurred. Our research is grounded in our involvement in the world and refined through scholarly debate. As a university, the complexities of society are laboratories for thought and experimentation. We rigorously pursue knowledge and pass that knowledge on to each new generation. And at the intersection of academic excellence and compassionate healthcare is our delivery of informed medicine. If we have done our job, and I know that we have, you leave SLU with more questions than you entered, and others will ask questions of you. I am confident that for the rest of your life, one of those questions you will be asked is, what is a Billiken? Now, the Billiken's appearance may be difficult to describe, but you know one when you see one. The Billiken looks like the quest to understand our shared humanity, to fill our unquenchable thirst for truth and our desire to explore life's vital questions. The Billiken looks like an engaged citizen, one that compassionately seeks common ground. The Billiken looks like a faith that does justice and upholds human dignity. The Billiken looks like authenticity, showing up, being seen, and seeing others. Graduates, as I describe our mascot, it is clear that the Billiken looks like all of us and acts like all of you. As Billikens, you symbolize the hope that it is possible to make the world the way it ought to be. You are a generation of unprecedented optimism, creativity, and resilience. Over the last several years, you rose to the demand of unprecedented challenges. I have seen the depths of your work ethic and the breadth of your compassion. You are fierce advocates for inclusion and justice. You leave the SLU Arches academically gifted, research-oriented, empathetic, and culturally aware. You enter a world that is in need of daring leadership and contemplative action. You are prepared to share joy with those who are low, direction with those who are lost, and hope with those who feel despair. Your pride radiates and will reverberate throughout the communities in which you will serve. Remember that you will always have a home at SLU, and you will forever share in the abundant resources of each other and your alma mater. SLU is not just the university you went to, it is the place you go from. Wherever your path takes you, lead with love and mercy. Make things the way they ought to be, And when asked what a Billiken looks like, you show them. I wish you Godspeed.
Thank you, Dr. Costello. I'm pleased that we are joined today by members of our distinguished faculty, representing all of St. Louis University's colleges and schools. They've seen our graduates through years of classes, papers, labs, projects, and final exams, so it is most fitting that they are here today to celebrate one final success with their students. The formative partnership between faculty and students lies at the heart of the academic enterprise. All faculty are by turns transmitters of knowledge, purveyors of cultures, initiators of professional training, mentors, role models, confidants, and in some cases, research colleagues with our students. The faculty revel in learning, both their learning and the students' learning, and they are committed to intellectual and personal development. In recognition of the many key roles that our faculty play in helping SLU graduates to develop both educationally and as whole persons capable of making a difference in the world, I now ask all university faculty in attendance to stand and receive the thanks of those assembled here today. Thank you, faculty. Now it is my pleasure to introduce a speaker from the graduating class. Sky Carroll is graduating from our College of Arts and Sciences. A Louisville, Kentucky native, she majored in communication and political science. Sky is a presidential scholar who has received several campus honors, including the Office of Alumni Engagement's Spirit of the Billiken Award. Sky was a fall orientation coordinator and orientation leader, helping shape the first-year experience for SLU students. She also held office with the Student Government Association and her sorority, Zeta Tau Alpha, and she was a senior writer for the University News. Sky will spend next year in Germany working and studying the language. She then plans to pursue a career in journalism. Please join me in welcoming our 2024 student speaker, Sky Carroll.
Thank you, Provost Lewis. Good morning, Billikens. I'm filled with so much joy and gratitude to be standing before you today. It is both a privilege and a blessing. First, I want to thank my fellow graduates. I would not be here or be who I am without you all. To our friends and family, thank you for being here to support and celebrate those you love. To SLU faculty and staff, thank you for joining us on this journey over the past several years. We couldn't have done it without you. It would have been easy to make this address about COVID, about the things we lost, the things we missed out on, how things might just now be starting to feel the way they did pre-pandemic. The loneliness, sadness, fear, grief, isolation, and not to mention the endless Zoom classes and meetings can never be overstated. But I am here to remind us that we are more than that. We are more than our darkest fears, more than our seemingly insurmountable failures. We are more than a single story. You are more than a single story. We are stories of courage, of compassion, and of resilience. It's truly impossible to encapsulate just how extraordinary the class of 2024 is. We were courageous when many of us left the homes we knew to come to a campus where we knew no one, let alone in the middle of a pandemic. When we took the next step in our research, when we felt called to make SLU's mental health care actually fit the needs of its students. We have constantly pushed one another outside of our comfort zones and to be the best versions of ourselves. I have no doubt that this courage will continue after today. We were compassionate when we served beyond SLU's walls, whether with unhoused populations, animal rescues, St. Louis public schools, or domestic violence shelters. When we said, "Meet me at the clock tower," to a friend who failed their first test, because we are so much more than a number. When we were our friends' biggest cheerleaders in their dance or art or theater showcase, in them starting student teaching, or in them starting clinical work or their new internship. It never matters the passion, because it is so thrilling to see the people you love pursue things they care so deeply about. We were resilient when the rules for COVID started to feel monotonous and overwhelming, and when we brought life, love, and connection back to campus. When we grieved those that we lost. When we got rejected, but took it as redirection. The resilience I have seen among this class is simply unparalleled. I am certain that we will always rise to the occasion and overcome the most challenging of times, because we've already done it. It's hard to believe that our time at SLU is coming to an end. Although we might be leaving SLU's physical campus, it does not confine the connections we've made, the engaging conversations we've had, or the spirit of the class of 2024. I challenge you to remember that you will always be part of something bigger than yourself, because you are part of this class and part of this university. Finding passions and purposes beyond SLU might take time, it might not, and that's okay. I encourage you to take a moment to rest in the coming days. You did the work, you made it here. Take a moment to rest and reminisce. Remember these stories of courage, compassion, and resilience. The future can be scary, but it's also so exciting and so bright. I have no doubt that we will all continue to grow as we love fiercely, live fearlessly, and learn for always. We'll all be loving, living, and learning right alongside one another. Thank you, and congratulations, class of 2024.
Thank you, Sky. It is now my honor to introduce SLU's 2024 commencement speaker. Mr. John Hamm is an award-winning actor who gained worldwide acclaim for his portrayal of Don Draper on the long-running series Mad Men. He has also appeared in numerous other television shows and films where he deftly portrays dramatic and comedic characters. He is also a proud St. Louisan who has actively supported and touted our hometown, including many local philanthropic causes. A one-time educator himself at St. Louis's John Burroughs School, Mr. Hamm has said that his teaching days gave him the confidence to become a professional actor. We're so very pleased to welcome him to our Billiken family. Without further ado, St. Louis University's 2024 commencement speaker, Mr. John Hamm.
Wow. Greetings all, my distinguished hosts, the faculty, of course the students, Steve, who set up all these chairs. Thank you, Steve. But most importantly, yes, the class of 2024. I just want to start off, it's been mentioned, but a quick aside, giving this graduate class a real pat on the back for, I don't know, just making it here. You had a pandemic-adjusted, indoor, virtual drive-by celebration getting out of high school. And now, 4 years later, because of even more world events sort of out of your control, you're suffering through campus shutdowns, ceremony cancellations, walkouts, disruptions, all the stuff. All of which is to say, your resilience in the face of continued discomfort, distraction, it's impressive. It's also to say, maybe stay away from ceremonies for a while, guys. Maybe they're just really not for you. If you're thinking of grad school, take a semester, take a year off. Just, like, the leap years maybe aren't the best. However, we are here today to celebrate you, finally, in person, in full throat, without qualification. Today, we can say to you, hooray, you made it. You successfully graduated into the unbounded wilds of the workforce. And to welcome you into this brave new world, they have selected me. A guy who is sporadically employed by nature and who didn't pay off his student loans until he was well into his 30s. Student loans, I will remind you, I did not accrue at this amazing institution. I went to the way, way, way less expensive school about 90 minutes down Highway 70. Thank you. There you go. So among the many obvious questions I had for myself, the who, what, where, when, and why of it all, who else did they ask to do this? Who canceled? Where did I leave my notes? When are we allowed to start drinking? And how do I use ChatGPT? The big question, though, is why? Why am I here? And I thought about this. I really did. Thought about it long and hard. Why me? While, as it has been mentioned, my St. Louis bona fides are undeniable. I was born in 1971 right here, not right here, but at Christian Northwest Hospital in Florissant, Missouri. I lived in Florissant, Creve Coeur, Normandy, Valley Park, University City, Clayton. I've lived around this town. I moved a lot. What can I say? And the answer to the not-so-secret question that we all know opens every door in St. Louis, yes, I went to John Burroughs High School. I get it. I'm from here. But why am I here today? When I was asked to speak here a year ago, I jumped at the chance. I literally jumped. Because as I mentioned earlier, it took me a long time to pay off my student debts. And the prospect of getting another degree for free seemed like way too good a deal. So as kind of go time got a little closer, I realized I needed to say something, actually something, to earn this honorary degree. But what to say? How to say it? Again, why did they pick me? I didn't go here. I have no kids that went here. I've not, to my knowledge, donated anything. I have only a very tenuous idea of what a Billiken actually is. So where do I go with all this? Then it hit me. I figured it out. I'm not here to deliver some didactic message about the wonder of education, why SLU is the best of the best. If you all follow these 3 simple rules, you too can pay off your debts by your mid-30s. No, I'm not here for that. I'm here because I am a member of this community. And as such, I have insight and wisdom to offer, maybe even some jokes. We'll see. We'll get to them. But now wait. This community, you just said, John, you didn't go here, you don't know what a Billiken is, some other stuff. How can you say you're part of this community? What community? What does that mean? Isn't community just a slippery slope away from communism, John? My uncle on Facebook said communism is bad, and I don't live on a commune, John. So who exactly do you think you are? Well, thank you for your input. I won't be taking any further questions, but that's what I really want to dig into today. What do we mean when we think of community? How do we define belonging to one subset or another? I'm here to postulate that what has gotten me through my life, what has in fact gotten me here to this point, onto this stage, is the support of the various communities I've had the good fortune to be accepted into over the course of my life. There is, of course, the wonderful St. Louis community at large, the one that I was born into, the one that nurtured me, provided me a place to play and grow and wonder and learn, the one that has Cardinals and Blues and, yes, Billikens. I, after all, came of age in the Charlie Spoonhour era, so maybe some of you remember that. Those give us reasons to come together and cheer and celebrate. I mean, Not so much this year for the Cardinals and the Blues, but often. And as I grew up, my communities widened out. At the University of Missouri, I earned a theater scholarship. I began traveling down that road that would lead to my acting career, making friends along the way, expanding my community to include the incredible creative people and craftspeople I would learn from as my career and my creative energy was still coalescing. Then, after a brief stint back at John Burroughs as a teacher, further strengthening my ties to that community, I headed out to Los Angeles to join that community of lost souls who endeavor to find their way into a career in an endless, unsolvable maze of freeways and traffic, to become one in a million, actually closer to one in about 15 million, attempting to wrestle that ridiculous probability into something attainable. I did it by finding my communities, whether it was the community formed in the comedy clubs like Largo and M-Bar, where for $5 I could sit in the back of the room and laugh along with like-minded idiots, or the community of waiters and bartenders and restaurant people that I worked at, a member of that community for a solid decade, a group where we could all commiserate with how hard we had it and how unfair it all was, and also trade shifts with each other because we had an audition for Dawson's Creek this Wednesday, and I have a really good shot at getting it, and if I do, I can stop waiting tables. I didn't get that. I didn't get it. It was also in the community of friends and roommates I acquired over the years, many of whom overlapped with the previous two groups I mentioned, that offered an endless supply of support and perspective for when the odds just seemed too astronomical to overcome. I offered this perspective on finding community not only because it is a helpful way to break down large, overwhelming things like job searches, like moving to an unfamiliar metropolis, the aforementioned always looming debt, but there's also a way to look at this methodology in the reverse, to turn the telescope around. Sometimes, and it seems to be an increasing trend in the current political and cultural conversation, we can drill down so deeply into our siloed communities that we neglect to see what it is that we have in common. We need to learn to also zoom out, to find the community even where there seems none exists. Finding community only in like-minded algorithms is a one-way ticket to stagnation, creatively, socially, politically, emotionally. Social media has, in only giving us what we think we want, has kind of closed our minds to understanding others' wants and shuts us off from engagement and challenge and progress. Doom scrolling is, for want of a better analogy, treading water. Finding the common ground in seemingly uncommon thoughts and ideas reminds us that we are all part of a much larger community than we even thought. We all have far more in common than we think. And we all, at the end of the day, want to do something fulfilling with our lives and find people who will love us through the hard times and the good. These things, these ideas, cut across all kinds of communities. These are the things that unite us. These are the things that we want to explore and tend to and celebrate. Now, this journey can be messy. It's not ever a straight line, nor does the path illuminate itself. It's up to you to clear the brush, so to speak. And that's the fun part. Uncertainty and messiness in this instance are features, not bugs. Keep in mind as you move through this next phase, because there will be times when everything will seem to simply not make sense. Again, this is where that community might come in handy, to reflect and commiserate, to workshop solutions, and to laugh sometimes at the absurdity of it all. And while we're at it, let's not discount the value of having a healthy sense of humor about it all. Right now, there's plenty to be outraged at, for sure. And a healthy sense of outrage is absolutely useful. But pick your spots. Don't only be outraged. Take some time off, be young, be carefree, while you are relatively young and relatively carefree. There will be plenty of opportunity for you to be outraged at what the world is or isn't doing for you, and that can lead to some wonderful change. If there's something in your community, however large or small, that you find distressing or unmanageable, then by all means take steps to improve it. Check in with the mood of the room, make it better, maybe run for office, maybe volunteer. There are tons of ways to give back to your community, and I can tell you from personal experience that the act of giving back pays enormous dividends. Also, and I can't stress this enough, maybe don't storm the Capitol. Just don't. It's not helpful. So, as we finish up today and get ready to take step one on the path of giving something back to this amazing community of humans we are all a part of, I want to remind you that failure in this aspect is good. Failure is how we ultimately succeed. Keep failing. Fail better. It works. I have failed my way into success. Every bad audition, every double shift, every setback in my life has moved me forward, made me better, and brought me, ultimately, here, imparting to you that wisdom. Imparting to you that wisdom, I think, is why I am here. So be proud, sons and daughters of St. Louis. Be proud of where you're from, knowing that it made you. Be at peace with where you are, knowing it is transitory and is leading to something else on the path. But most importantly, be excited for where you're going. The future is endless. It is ripe with possibility, and it is all yours to make of what you wish. With that, welcome to the community. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Ham. It's now my privilege to present Mr. Joseph Conran, the chairman of the St. Louis University Board of Trustees.
Good morning, all. President Postello, I have the honor to inform you that the Board of Trustees, by virtue of the right granted to it by the state of Missouri, has voted to authorize you to confer upon these persons honorary degrees in recognition of their singular achievements. First is Father P. Marie Joseph Christie of the Society of Jesus. Second, Mr. John Ham. And third, Doctors Susan and William Klepper. Now, to honor Father Christie, I invite University Trustee Jimmy Edwards forward.
The journey of P. Marie Joseph Christie of the Society of Jesus started in his native India. In 1993, Father Christie arrived at St. Louis University, where he spent the next 6 years. He then returned to India to teach. Decades later, he ended up in Rome, where he now serves as the Secretary for Higher Education of the Society of Jesus. He served as the director and professor of decision sciences at Xavier School of Management, Jamshedpur, a leading business school in India. He also was associated with the Loyola Institute of Business Administration in Chennai, India, for many years. During his tenure as professor, dean, and then director, he elevated the school to among India's top 10 business schools. In his current position, Father Christie assists and advises the Superior General of the Jesuits. He also is responsible for promoting discernment, networking, and collaboration among Jesuit higher education institutions around the world. For his leadership in the Society of Jesus and his ongoing role in promoting Jesuit higher education, the degree of Doctor of Public Service honoris causa will be conferred upon Father P. Marie Joseph Christie.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon Father P. Marie Joseph Christie of the Society of Jesus the degree of Doctor of Public Service and declare that his name will be inscribed forever on the university's roll of honorary graduates.
To recognize Mr. John Hamm, I ask University Trustee Bo Meehan to come forward.
During his time in Hollywood, John Hamm has become synonymous with St. Louis. Born and raised here, Hamm enthusiastically represents his hometown at every turn. Whether donning gear from our St. Louis sports teams or mentioning local favorites, Hamm is proud of being a St. Louisan. Hamm's break came when he portrayed the debonair Don Draper on AMC's Mad Men. His performance earned numerous accolades, including an Emmy Award in 2015 for Outstanding Actor in a Drama Series, 2 Golden Globe Awards, 2 Television Critics Association Awards, and a Critics' Choice Television Award. He recently starred in the 5th season of the series, Fargo, and has appeared in The Morning Show and Good Omens. His films include Baby Driver and Top Gun Maverick. Most recently on the big screen, he was in the adaptation of the Broadway musical Mean Girls. Hamm champions numerous charities and has also helped many of our local nonprofits to raise funds. In 2021, he helped host a conversation for SLU's St. Louis Literary Award. As an alum, I joined the other women graduates and alumni in thanking Mr. Hamm for his uplifting message and for not commenting upon when our lives begin after graduation. For his outstanding acting career, his advocacy for education, and numerous charities, his heartfelt and vocal support of his hometown of St. Louis, the free degree of Doctor of Fine Arts, honoris causa, will be conferred upon John Hamm.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon Mr. John Hamm the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts and declare that his name will be inscribed forever on the university's roll of honorary graduates.
Finally, to honor Drs. Susan and William Klepper, I ask University Trustee Eric Engler to come forward.
Dr. Susan Klepper and Dr. William Klepper met during their first year at SLU. They married after graduating with their bachelor degrees. William continued at SLU, completing 2 graduate degrees. He also served as SLU's Associate Dean of Students from 1969 to 1971. His career took him to the University of South Carolina and the College of New Jersey before he landed at Columbia University, where he teaches and is the academic director for executive education in the business school. Susan joined Columbia's Medical Center as an assistant professor of rehabilitation and regenerative medicine and physical therapy. She is now an emeritus professor. Susan also served as a consultant to the pediatric rheumatology team at Children's Hospital of New York and as a physical therapist, both in private practice and with a special services school district. William was the mayor of Ewing Township, New Jersey, president of the Township School Board, and president of the Mercer County Board of County Commissioners. For their lifelong dedication to their students and their fields, and their commitment to their communities, the degree of Doctor of Education, honoris causa, will be conferred upon Drs. Susan and William Klepper.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon Dr. Susan Klepper and Dr. William Klepper the degree of Doctor of Education and declare that their names will be inscribed forever on the university's roll of honorary graduates.
We now come to the highlight of the program, the multiple conferring of degrees. There is a two-part procedure in the conferral ceremony. First, the candidates for degrees will be presented by the respective deans of the colleges and schools of the university. Then the president will confer the degrees. I would ask you to hold your applause until the president has finished speaking. We will begin with the College of Arts and Sciences. The candidates from the other schools will be presented in the order in which they were founded, which appears in the printed program. Dean Lavoie.
Thank you, Provost Lewis. Will the candidates for degrees from the College of Arts and Sciences please rise as you are able? President Pistello, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Arts and Sciences, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Lavoie, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for the degrees from the School of Medicine please rise as you are able? President Pistello, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Jacobs, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the School of Law please rise as you are able? Mr. President, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Law, I have the tremendous honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Johnson, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the College of Philosophy and Letters please rise as you are able? Small but sublime. President Pistello, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Philosophy and Letters, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Rosenberg, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates from the Richard A. Chaifetz School of Business please rise as you are able? President Pistello, on behalf of the faculty of the Richard A. Chaifetz School of Business, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Gupta, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Will the candidates for degrees from the School of Science and Engineering please rise as you are able? President Pistello, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Science and Engineering, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Triplett, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the Trudy Bush Valentine School of Nursing please rise if you are able? President Pistello, on behalf of the faculty of the Trudy Bush Valentine School of Nursing, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean LeCure, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the School of Social Work please rise? President Pistello, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Social Work, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Fern, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the Edward and Margaret Doisy College of Health Sciences please rise as you are able? President Costello, on behalf of the faculty of the Edward and Margaret Doisy College of Health Sciences, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Rousseau, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the College for Public Health and Social Justice please rise as you are able? President Costello, on behalf of the faculty of the College for Public Health and Social Justice, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean McClure, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the School of Professional Studies please rise as you are able? President Costello, on behalf of the faculty of the School for Professional Studies, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Dullman, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Would the candidates for degrees from the School of Education please rise as you are able? President Costello, on behalf of the faculty for the School of Education, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees for which they have been recommended.
Dean Ritter, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of St. Louis University, I hereby confer upon those whose names were presented the degrees for which they were nominated, and I further declare them sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever.
Let's give another round of applause to all of our graduates. I now invite the Reverend Raymond Robinson, the Graduate Academic Coordinator in our School for Professional Studies and Associated Minister at First Baptist Church of Baldwin, to confer a blessing upon us.
If you're able to stand, please stand. Good morning. It is indeed a pleasure to be here today, standing before you to celebrate the graduation class of 2024. To President Dr. Costello and his cabinet members, ULC, trustees, faculty, and staff, I am sure that the graduates appreciate all that you have done to assist them throughout their journey to graduation. Graduates, as the president declared, sons and daughters of St. Louis University forever. You thought of matriculating to SLU, and you did. You came, you have met the requirements, you are now finished. This is the reason for us being here today, and that is to celebrate your great achievement. You ought to be proud as well as grateful that you were able to navigate through the academic journey. St. Louis University is quite proud of you and will be rooting for your future success. Do well in your future endeavors. Moreover, collaborate with others, have clarity of goals, commit to your plans, and think about community, as you have done here. According to Conrad Hilton, success seems to relate to action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. Whatever you do, continue to learn, grow, and give your best to enhance your surroundings wherever you go. You have done this already, therefore continue to do this at the next level. Let us look to God of heaven and pray. Lord, thank you for this class of graduates. We thank you for blessing their time here and keeping them safe while studying at St. Louis University. Please go with them into their various places that they may equip their minds to be able to handle new tasks laid before them. Then give them the confidence to excel as they continue to march on their path. Psalms 119, 105 says, "The word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Wherever they go, shine that light so that they may see their way forward into their successful endeavors in their next chapter of their lives." Please give safe travel for the graduates and their supporters who have come in person to celebrate their loved ones' academic achievement. I pray this prayer in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Let us all together say, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Robinson. We're now nearing the end of our commencement exercises, but before we do, we want to remind the graduates to please remain seated until the stage party and the faculty have left the arena. Please wait and follow your marshal's directions. We ask that graduates and their families and friends meet out in front of Chaifetz Arena. Graduates, after you process out, if you would like to take a picture with Dr. Costello, please go outside the arena to Gate A, where he'll be waiting for you. The university marshals will help guide you there. To the class of 2024, while this day marks the end of your time as a student here, it's the beginning of your lifelong connection as an alumni or an alumnus of St. Louis University. Your SLU family is composed of more than 137,000 mission-driven and successful alumni around the world. And wherever your life's journey takes you, there will be opportunities to remain connected to St. Louis University. SLU is still your home, and you will always be welcome back on campus. And now, a final word from President Costello.
Let me ask you to be seated, and as Dr. Lewis said, please remain seated through the end of the recessional here. As we close our ceremonies, I want to say one last time what a great pleasure it is to congratulate you, graduates. And I ask one last thing of you. When I point to you, I want to hear, with great enthusiasm, you shout the word forever. Are you ready? You are now members of the Billiken family forever.